Angela Wolf here. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a waistband where you have a drawstring, but you're going to make it out of fabric. So I'm just using a regular pant, and you can see I already have the pant sewn together. But let's talk about the waistband. A couple things. I'm using self fabric for the waist tie, and I'll show you a really quick way, easy way to do that with the serger. I have my elastic. This is a non-roll sports elastic, which is great for leggings, jogging pants, things like that. I'm going to use a contrasting fabric. It kind of matches, and also this will help you to see better. So first thing I'm going to do is find the center of the wrong side of the fabric. And this is fusible interfacing. I'm going to press that into place. So let's just bring this over here. The fusible, you'll feel the fusible that goes down feels a little rough on your hand. So I'm just going to put that in place. I always like to give it a test in a corner first before I press, just in case you have it on the wrong way, you won't ruin your whole iron, just the tip. And when you're adding fusible interfacing, you just hold and press. Just be very careful with the knit. I'm not using a press cloth because I want you to see what I'm doing, but you would. And I'm just going to fold this in half. And I'm just going to give this a quick pressing. This will guide me as I'm inserting the elastic later on. I've cut my waistband a little bit wider than the elastic, and I'll trim the fabric off. I just find that to be easier. All right. See, this fabric has a little stretch. Depending on your pant style, you want it to have a little stretch because you need to get the pants over your hips. So if it didn't have stretch, you'd have to use a different style of pant than what I'm using here. All right. Because this is pressed, even though this is uneven, it just means I didn't cut it quite off. But by the time I'm finished, I'm going to be trimming off this much anyway, so it doesn't matter. So back to our center area. I'm just going to give this a press. It gives me a guide to know where my center is. And let's mark our buttonholes, because that's the first thing we're going to need. There's my interfacing. So why don't we add one here? It's about an inch. Oh, yeah, an inch. And another inch. And then I'm going to give myself kind of a marking here as a guide, and we'll go stitch that. I'm just going to use just a regular buttonhole that's the same design on both sides. Slide this in place. I can see my chalk mark. There we go. And this is where on your foot, how you usually tell it how wide of a buttonhole you have, or how big of a button. We just want a little bit, it doesn't need to be too big, just big enough to get that strap through. So let's leave it right there. And I'm going to go ahead and choose a buttonhole. This one right here looks like it's the same on both sides. Yes, that looks great. Change my foot out. All right, go ahead and stitch that buttonhole. The fusible interfacing will prevent this fabric from stretching out. Okay, that looks great. I'll give it a little pressing. Now let's go ahead and stitch this other one. Again, I'm using the contrasting thread so you can see it, but if I was using blue thread, you wouldn't even see this buttonhole. You could also use rivets, but seeing that these are jogging pants or lounging pants, I don't think I really want rivets on there. The buttonholes are soft to the skin and won't fall out. All right, those look great. So let's go back up here to the iron. I'm gonna give it a quick pressing. And let's go ahead and cut these open. Most knits won't fray, but if you need to, you could put something on these to make sure that the fabric doesn't fray. All right. You could also use a seam ripper, but just be careful. Sometimes those go through further than you want them, and your buttonhole might end up a lot bigger than you prefer. Great. All right, we have that. Now we need to, I'm going to show you how to make this, which I already have one finished, but I'm going to show you just a quick, easy way. A quick and easy way to make a spaghetti strap or straps like this. Go ahead and serge a long chain, and the chain needs to be longer than your strap. So line this up. I'm lining this up right along the fold, just like that. And again, I'm just pushing this against the fold of the fabric. And we're almost finished. See, it comes out the bottom. This is also a great way to make spaghetti straps if you're using a silky or satin fabric. All right, so I did not cut this original area. Let me bring this over here. And what you're gonna do is give this a little tug. And this is so fun. I always call this like the magic. And voila, there's your strap. Okay, I already have one finished that's way longer. I didn't think you needed to watch the whole thing. Next thing I'm going to do is just sew my waistband in the center back. I need to change my foot. And we're just going to use, I'm using stretch thread, so I'm going to use a stitch length of 3.0. Back to a straight stitch. You could also use a serger for this as well, just to finish this back edge, but I'm just going to use this for now. All right, and I also have my elastic here that I've already measured, and I'm going to run this through the sewing machine using a zigzag stitch. Line this up right. I start in the little bit in the center of the elastic. It just makes it easier to go back and forth. All right, just trim off the excess here. There we go. You don't need all that bulk. If you run that through twice, it's not going to open. All right. So let's get this into place. We don't need that anymore. So this is on the wrong side of the fabric. I'm going to slide these through the hole. So this is how wide you needed your buttonhole, just to make sure that fits through. So you want this attached first in your waistband before you put your elastic around. Again, just kind of push that through. If your hole's too small or something like that, just use a pair of tweezers to pull that through. Okay. And one thing else I wanted to point out is because I used self fabric, I cut this on the cross grain as well. See how it has some stretch? So that will hold it into place as well. All right. Pull these through. And the next thing we're going to do is take our elastic. And I know where my center back is on here, so let me just mark my center front. I'll just do it with a pin for now. I'm going to line this up. right here. So this is the finished edge that will be on the outside of the garment, and this is the inside of the garment. And what I'm doing is I'm folding the elastic up tight against that fold, and then I'll put a pin in there. And I'm gonna baste this together first. I just find it so much safer to baste it. The basting stitch will come out. It might even be in the seam allowance, so you won't even ever see it. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the strap is on the right side of the garment, just tucked in. So you can see it's tucked in like a little sandwich. I'm just gonna pin a little bit further. I'm not gonna sew this entire thing because you'll get the idea. The hardest part was just getting the band in there. So any pattern that you have for pants, you can do the same thing by doing the changes that I just made. Just remember that if the pants are fitted, you're gonna need a stretch waistband or else, again, you won't get them over your hips. Okay, so I'm just gonna start stitching. I'm gonna, again, just use a basting stitch. I'm gonna put my needle in the left position so it'll just stitch right next to that elastic, not through the elastic, but next to it. Now, when I go to attach this to the pants, I could attach this where the elastic is sewn right into the pants. That's fine. But for now, I just want to stitch right next to the elastic. I'm just going to go past the front here, and I'll show you what this looks like. And you'll find that your knit fabric loves to roll a little bit, so just take your time. Use some pins or fabric clips. I'm using silk pins so it doesn't puncture my knit. All right. And I'm just gonna go a little bit further and just show you what this looks like. Okay, let's go back up here and I'll show you what this looks like. I didn't finish all the way around the back, but that's not the main part that you need to see. So here is my waistband. I have my self fabric straps, and this will make it nice and tight. See, it's on the outside of the elastic, and this would stitch all the way around. Let's go back to the pants. And once that was finished, I attached the waistband just like you would a regular pair of pants. So I just folded it right sides together, serged all the way around, and my waistband is finished. In the next episode, I'm going to show you how to make those cute pockets.